Today's class is a gentle flow. A gentle flow really just to kind of reset and recenter and find back into our core, our center, loosening up a bit of this holding on because it's cold outside. So we'll relax and breathe that out. As you come to seated, finding a comfortable seat, I invite you to close your eyes, rest your hands where they're comfortable, and shift around on your sit bones. And you're welcome to exaggerate the movement, shift side to side, and find an even balance in your sit bones, right and left, and maybe gently hinging pelvis forwards and back to find the center of your sit bones, to bring your pelvis to be in an upright position, to allow our spine to stack, to allow our head to stack and balance above an extended spine. And then once that's established, there's a sense of length. I invite you to roll your shoulders forwards and back and side to side and up and down, and roll them in ways that I don't have words for. So simply move. See what you can do to widen into collarbones for a moment, and then widen into shoulder blades. Maybe you start moving your head, so gently tilting head side to side, stretching out the neck muscles. Notice how we easily use them to hold our shoulders in place, and how quickly we forget that the shoulders are made to stay. We don't need to hold on to them. And then soften your lips and let your jaws unlock, and maybe wiggling jaws side to side. And soften your eyelids, soften your forehead, and find stillness. Find stillness for a moment. Find a sense of ease and effortlessness as you sit, as your sit bones ground. And as you become still, add in the dimension of curiosity towards this moment. When I sit still, where I usually start is to just listen and hear that which is close. And then I expand that outwards to the sounds around my house. And then I get even more curious and see if I can hear the ocean, hear the waves. And then maybe becoming even more curious, see if you can hear the city or the mountain. So sort of zooming outwards, really curious. And noticing how maybe your body or your inner being kind of expands with. Notice how we spread ourselves out beyond these walls that surround us. And once I've found this sense of vastness and spaciousness, I usually come back to breath. Maybe starting around the nostrils, and just sense breath flowing in down your lungs. Notice where breath lands. And notice how breath moves you. Notice breath flowing through you. Notice how breath is this beautiful bridge between this expansive world out there and the world inside, which can sometimes feel quite small and dense. So picture yourself breathing breath, breathing softness. Maybe breathing this body which often seems so solid, breathing it a little more spacious, giving your muscles, your body begin to soften, maybe gently move, and witnessing all of that. Deep sense of curiosity. Noticing thoughts that might be very sticky and clingy today. Noticing your emotional state. Noticing sensations in your body. Sensations on your skin. Maybe noticing the movement of air around you, inside you. The movement of blood inside your body, your heart beating. Notice and witness. With each breath becoming more and more curious, and every time your mind meanders off, as our minds do, gently bring it back, hug it back in. Say thank you for looking after me, and bring it back to here and now. Bring it back to the depth and richness of this moment. To this knowing that this moment holds all it needs. This moment is everything there is. And from here we slowly, gently open our eyes. We see, sense if we can reach our crown a little higher maybe, sitting a little taller, open knees a little wider. Shift your hips left and right. And then start rolling forwards and back on your sit bones. So hands holding knees gently, opening knees out wide, tilting forwards and back on your sit bones, rounding your spine as you move back. Open sternum, chest, collarbones as you roll forwards. Let this movement be organic. If your eyes would like to be closed here, that's fine. And slide your shoulder blades up and down, side to side on the back of your ribs. Really finding movement. If there's lots of space, maybe the chin reaches up or an ear reaches up. Give yourself permission to be as awkward as you can. Shift and move, making space. So moving all the way from hip joints into shoulder joints. And then slowly we'll hinge forwards. We'll roll onto the front sit bones. And maybe your feet come slightly forwards if this is quite easy for you, as if you're rolling your pelvic floor onto earth. And then you fold forwards, folding your chest into space between your knees. Have this idea, this picture of melting into mat, of becoming one with mat, with earth. Maybe your forehead rests on mat, knees soft. Every inhalation, a gentle expansion throughout body, and with every exhalation you soften. We consciously release tension using our breath. To come up, we bring our chin to chest and roll ourselves up to sit. And we roll our shoulders back a couple of times, maybe stretching arms out to the sides. What's quite nice, bringing arms in line with shoulders and simply circle and stretch your wrists. Spread your fingers wide. And again, the invitation to move in the most awkward way that can come up for you. Moving, and maybe you twist into arms, rolling one shoulder forwards and the other one back. And then going the other way. Twisting from fingertips to fingertips. And your spine might start snaking with. And then from here, we'll center ourselves out. We'll reach our arms up high. Grab the space above you. As you exhale, you soften your shoulders down. Your lower ribs, your shoulders, your rib cage, everything moves down. And as you inhale, you grow a little taller. Now, maintaining this, can we lift our feet up? Just like that. Find the space between sit bones and tailbone and lift your feet a little bit higher. The same softness. Uncross your legs, cross your feet the other way, lift them a little bit higher. Notice your shoulders, are they squeezing up? And then bring your feet down. Bring your hands down onto knees, soften your shoulders down, and a little bit of movement. So now our legs are crossed the opposite way. If you can, bring your shins to be parallel. And moving a little, we fold forwards again. And we notice that there's a difference. We fold into the space between our knees with a lot of softness, with ease, truly surrendering to this moment. Noticing tension we're holding in our body and maybe inquiring how this tension might be a translation of tension in your mind and being. And let's bring our chin to chest, roll ourselves up to sit, rolling shoulders back. We bring our hands back behind us, fingertips pointing back and away. If you can, bringing your hands flat and press your palms into earth, lift your sternum forwards and up. Bend your elbows slightly and see if you can bring them towards one another as you lift your sternum even higher, your collarbones, your chin. And then chin to chest, ground your hands deeply. Spread your fingers even wider. Bring your feet hip wide apart onto earth. And then from here, we shift forwards and back. We lift our hips. We add a bit of weight into hands. Keep your collarbones wide. Keep your front shoulders open. Navel is lifted, spine is long. And then sit your sit bones back down. We'll turn our hands around, pointing them towards our feet. The wrists parallel, the fingers spreading wide. Elbows bend slightly, tuck them in towards one another. Lift your heart. So make yourself as wide and spacious as you can. And maintain that as you gently lift your hips. Push them towards your heels. And notice what happens in your hands, in your arms, in your shoulders. Keep lifting your sternum, deepening your navel. And then can we maybe move our hips into the space between our hands, or just towards the hands, or they might need to land on the mat. And then coming forwards again, sit bones to heels. Maybe from here, lifting up, opening chest. And check back into hands, into fingers, spread them out, open chest. Now dropping hips back to heels. Tucking elbows towards one another, bringing hips into the space between our hands, and you can always pause if you like. We'll come forwards one more time. Sit bones to heels. If there is more, maybe lifting hips, lifting gaze, lifting collarbones. Dropping sit bones to heels. Coming back, sit bones between hands. We cross our legs, roll over feet onto hands and knees. Well done. Let's turn our hands around so our palms face up. Spread your fingers wide. So palms facing up, fingers towards the knees, and then work on straightening the arms. Notice if there's a difference between the sides. Shift from left to right, right to left. And slowly, mindfully turning hands around again. Your hands becoming these awesome feet. For a moment we lift our wrists up and stretch our fingers. Rolling from pinky finger to index finger, very gently. And then rounding our hands back down onto earth. Now knees hip wide, hands shoulder wide, your shins parallel. Have a look over your left shoulder. Squeeze your left shoulder blade towards left hip. Bring them close. So opening the right side of your torso, looking at left foot. And on your next inhalation, come to center. And we'll look over right shoulder to right foot. Squeezing right shoulder blade and hip towards one another. Opening the left side. On your next inhalation, to center. And over to the left. And to center, and over to the right. We come back to center, we'll drop our belly, lift our sit bones and lift our heart. Now check into elbows, bend them slightly and notice where they're pointing. Can you point them towards your hip bones or corners of your mat? So hug them in and then maybe straighten the arms again as you lift your heart a little further forwards. Deeply arched, sit bones lifted, throat lifted, collarbones, sternum, and the shoulder blades slide down and stay with it. Breathe space into this. And with another inhale, we go even deeper. As we exhale, we round it out.
Chin to chest, tailbone down to earth, shoulder blades wide. How high can you lift your navel? Might you be able to round yourself a little further away from earth? Might you be able to shift weight forwards and back? And with our next inhalation, we'll open heart, lift our sit bones. I invite you to flow with your breath. Exhaling to round and inhaling to arch. Truly linking breath and movement. Moving in your own perfect way, in your own pace. Every inhalation and arching, and every exhalation a rounding. Lots of space and lots of strength in our center. And then from here, once we're ready, we find our neutral spine. So we find the longest line from neck into tailbone. We'll stretch our right leg out and just gently press the heel forwards and back. You might want to check your elbows again. If you bend them, what direction do they point? Outwards? Can you hug them inwards as you straighten your arms again? Not locking them, just extending them. Right knee comes down, rolling over left toes, gently opening left heel back. Take your gaze forwards, make sure your head is not hanging. Our heads are heavy things. We'll bring both knees down, tuck both toes under, all toes under, and we'll shift our hips up into down dog. And in down dog, welcome to explore. We've all done down dogs before, maybe a few thousand. Treat each down dog as if you're here the first time. Because ultimately you are here the first time. You who you are now has never been here before. This body you're in right now has never been before. Be curious, explore. Lift your heels up and down, stretch out your toes, balance on the balls of your feet. See what it feels like to look forwards, or what it feels like to look up at navel. What changes? What happens? Maybe bending one leg at a time, lifting the opposite sit bone up high. And let's pause for a moment, bringing our knees down. Keep your toes tucked, your hips above your knees, and simply reach your hands forward. Dropping forehead onto mat, or dropping chin or mouth onto mat. Now notice the tension you might be feeling in your shoulders. Really check, make sure your hips are above your knees, and bring your attention to your exhalation, softening your armpit and softening your sternum down to earth. With every exhalation, a little deeper. With every exhalation, we surrender. How about we point our toes back and relax the tops of our feet onto earth? Every inhalation, you expand. With every exhale, you surrender. If there's little movements you might need here, you're welcome to shift, to gently move and soften and loosen up. And acknowledge how much tension there might be around the shoulders, around the neck. And see if you can send a little thank you to those tight muscles and allow them to let go. Remind them that it's fine, it's safe. And from here, take another inhale, another exhale to maybe go deeper, surrender deeper. And then slide your sit bones to heels. Bring your hands in line with feet. Turn your palms up, let your shoulder blades slide apart and simply witness. Notice the sensations around your arms, shoulders. Bring your chin to chest and round yourself up to sit on heels. Bring your hands onto thighs and sit tall for a moment. Soften your shoulders down, open your heart out wide. And we'll come onto knees with your knees hip wide apart, your shins hip wide apart. We roll our shoulders up and down, sliding shoulder blades down. Get a strong sense of lift through your pelvic floor and navel up into crown. And then we'll open our palms forwards. We'll bring our hands onto thighs, just below the glute. And as we press our hands into our legs, we open our chest a little more. We
open our heart a little more. We tuck our elbows towards one another. Witnessing your tailbone point down and your navel lift up and in. And explore your range of movement. Your hands might gently slide down towards the knees. You might even want to lift your head or just be where you're at. Continue to lift your navel up and in so you're tilting in the pelvis. You're not compressing your lower back. Explore. Notice what parts of your feet are on the mat. Wiggle the pinky toes, the big toes. And let's have another big inhale here. An exhalation to soften a little deeper. And then find your way back onto hands and knees. Ground your hands in a conscious way. Tuck your toes under and find your way into down dog. Move around in your down dog or find stillness. We'll stay here for 5 breaths. Your own breath, your own pace. Draw your kneecaps up and in. Point your tailbone, point your sit bones up and away. Soften into shoulders. Maybe a gentle shaking head, no, nodding head, yes. Give yourself permission to soften. And then take your gaze forwards. Bend your knees gently. Lift your sit bones even higher. Check your elbows, point them to back corners of the mat. And then with as much space between body and earth, step your right foot forwards. Find your right foot between your hands. Your fingertips make these domes alongside the heel, and all we do is gently shift our weight forwards and back. Can you rest your right tummy, your ribcage on your thigh? And next time you shift back, maybe you can straighten your leg out. Welcome to flow here. Maybe lifting right toes towards face. And stay for a moment. Inhale deeply to make more space. And exhale to see if you can soften deeper into it. Whatever tension you might be feeling, soften into it. Next inhale, we'll bring our knee back above our heel. We'll rest our hands onto knee. And we'll slowly come up into lunge warrior. Slowly stacking ourselves up. Align your hips with the front of your mat. And then we'll drop our back knee down. Use your hands to keep your pelvis upright. Dropping back knee down and sense what's alive here. Maybe you're feeling quite a big stretch here. Keep tucking back pelvis, lifting front pelvis. Now slowly release your right hand down and the left hand comes up. And maybe we can reach the left hand up and over. If you like, bring your right hand onto sacrum and gently shift your sacrum forwards as you open your heart up and back. Right hip rolls back, left hip rolls forward as you open deeper into those left hip flexors. And then center yourself out. Bend your left elbow, the top arm, and we'll move it to bring it to outer right knee. Hooking it there. Right hand stacks into left hand. Press your hands into one another and open your chest up towards the right. Now if you like, you stay where you're at with your knee on the mat, or maybe left knee lifts. Point your knees to front corners of the mat, so point them away from one another as you sink a little deeper into left hip flexors, as you twist your torso a little wider. And left knee comes back down. Our hands come to center. Let's rise them up for a moment. Inhale here. And exhale them down onto earth. Now lifting left knee, stepping right foot straight back into three-legged downward facing dog. Pressing right heel up. Let's open our right hip, release our right heel to left hip. And then maybe gentle movements, circling from the hip joint or stretching leg out and bringing knee up and down, moving into hips, finding a bit of space. Dropping foot back down onto earth. Feet nice and wide, we come into plank.
And from our plank, we bring our knees down onto earth. We point our toes back. We squeeze our glutes and soften our hips down to lift our heart forwards and up. Lots of space in lower back. Lots of strength through the navel, open heart wide. And then slowly onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes, find down dog. Be here for 5 breaths. So do what's true for you in your down dog for these breaths. Explore, be curious. Continue to expand using your breath as a reminder. Continue to shift your attention and focus onto what's spacious, light. And then we lift our heels, we bend our knees, we look forwards. And with a lot of space and a lot of ease, we find our left foot between our hands. Our right knee comes down onto earth. Our fingertips make these domes alongside the heel. And just gently shift and move. Make sure your knee is above the heel. So if you need to move your foot slightly forwards, do so. We lift our back knee again and shift forwards and back. And the forwards and back might extend into a left leg straightening out. See if you can glue your left lower ribs onto thigh, onto knee as you move forwards and back. Lifting sit bones back and away. We meet with our knee above our heel. We bring our hands onto knee and lift ourselves up very gently. Coming up, bringing hands onto hips, aligning your hips with the front. Tucking back pelvis, lifting front pelvis. Let's drop our right knee onto earth and just stay here for a moment. Feel your right hip flexors and quads open up. Roll your shoulders back and down. Lift your gaze, lift your heart, lift your right arm up. If you want to stay, you stay. Maybe left hand reaches downwards. Maybe the hips come forwards. You might be able to bring your left hand onto sacrum, reminding it to stay wide, reminding your tailbone to point forward as you lean a little further back, as you open your heart a little deeper. Breathe yourself spacious. It's tempting to collapse into these poses, but make sure you use your inhalations to expand. And then bending right elbow, bringing it over left knee, hooking it there. Left hand comes onto right, and we twist. We open our heart, and we sink our hips a little deeper. We open wide. And if there is a little more space, you're welcome to lift your back knee. Point your knees away from one another. Twist a little deeper. Lean into your own body. Sink your hips down to earth. Down to earth. Beautiful. Stunning. Looking over back shoulder. We'll bring our right knee back down onto earth. We'll come to center. Thumbs onto sternum. Reminding sternum and heart to lift and lead. Rising arms up. Settle a little deeper into the hips. And then hands come through center, down onto earth, spreading fingers wide. We make space. Left foot comes back into three-legged downward facing dog. We bend our left knee, drop our left heel to outer right hip, and you're welcome to move around. You're welcome to circle with the knee, circle the ankle, move the foot. Notice what your body is doing. And then left foot comes back onto earth. We inhale into plank. If chaturanga is part of your practice, you're welcome to go there. Otherwise, the knees down, the toes back. The tailbone squeezes down as the heart lifts up high. Picture and feel your spine as long as it possibly can be. And back onto hands and knees. Back into down dog. Beautiful. Lengthening to down dog, shake your head no and nod your head yes. Let's walk our hands to feet. So check your feet, they're hip wide apart, outside edges parallel. Lift all your toes up, spread them out, and relax them back down. Slide your hands up your shins, up your knees, onto thighs. As you come up, roll your shoulders back a couple of times. Shift your hips left and right.
Lengthen, tuck your elbows into hips. And then as you exhale, you fold from the pelvis. If you want to have your hands on your pelvis to help. And folding forwards, let your arms soften. Probably your knees are soft, slightly bent. And notice where the weight is in your feet. Are you shifting into heels? Can you spread your weight forwards into toes, into feet? Can you really soften and surrender into spine while you keep grounding through feet and rising through sit bones? Now let's slowly lift our gaze, look forwards with a long flat spine, sliding hands up. See if you can reach a little more. Another inhale here, and we exhale to fold forwards again. So maybe your arms hang, or your hands onto elbows. If you want to take it a little deeper, you might be able to slide your hands under feet. Slide them under, your toes all the way up to wrists. And become comfortable standing on your hands. So you might start knees bent, shoulders round. And let's find a bit of space. So maybe you can lift sternum and gaze forwards. Lift sit bones up. And as you exhale, folding deeper into this forward fold. As if you could ground the crown of your head into hands, into feet as well. And be where you're at and be there fully. Embrace your body where it's at right now. Opening. Take another big inhale here. As you exhale, you breathe it out, maybe through an open mouth. We slowly release our hands from under feet. We bend our knees, make ourselves round, and stack yourself up. Stack yourself up, front tailbone through spine. Rolling shoulders back, coming up to stand. Beautiful. And you can stay where you're at. I'll turn towards you. Grounding into left foot, lift your right knee up. And just that, noticing, feeling. Circle your right ankle a couple of times, one way, the other way. And we'll slide our right hand to foot and just holding the foot. Just that. And see if you can grow tall again. It's kind of tempting to shrink. Grow tall as you can be. Placing your foot to inner thigh, right up against the groin, or maybe a little lower, or down here. See what works for you. And then open, use your hands to open hip and knee away from one another. Feel your tailbone point down and forwards, open wide. Have a check, feel your lower ribs and hips connect so you're not flaring outwards. You're strong in your center. And from here, see if you can grow a little taller. Really, really tall, as if your left foot is about to hover over the mat. And from here, maybe rising arms to the sides. And as you exhale, check in, melt through your periphery, soften your shoulders. And as you inhale, you grow a little taller through your crown. So you're really building this from foot upwards, upwards. A strong upwards lift. With every inhale, growing taller. With every exhale, you relax everything that's not needed to be held onto right now. Continue to slide your shoulder blades down. If you can take your gaze up, take it up. Lean into yourself. Trust the space that surrounds you. We bring our hands together and we slide them down to heart. We lift our knee. Can we keep it here? Outwards, lifting it. Can we just for a moment stretch our heel out to the side and stay lifted and stay and lift it and bend it and bring it forward. Step it down. Shake it out. Wiggle it out. The shoulders, the hips, the glutes, soften it out. And then find your stance again. Feet hip wide apart. Right foot grounds, left knee lifts. Take a moment to notice how your right foot balances out. Maybe circling left ankle, one way, the other way. Notice if the shoulders are coming up to help us balance also. Drop into navel, into core. Slide your hand to foot, grabbing your ankle and stand tall. Knee pointing up, foot pointing down. Stand as tall as you possibly can. Truly lifting out of your grounded leg and then placing foot to inner thigh. inner shin. Use your hand on hip bones and inner thigh to open. You might want to check lower ribs. Sometimes they flare out. We might collapse in our lower backs. Keeping this center strong. Your navel lifts in and up, like it wants to hang out with your heart. And then from here, make it a big movement. Arms through the sides and up. And as you exhale, relax the shoulders down. And as you inhale, grow a little taller. You might lift your gaze. If you lift your gaze, lift your heart without connecting, without losing connection in your center. So heart lifts. Imagine there's bungees. The front hip bones lift. Spine super long. And find this expansive expression here. Continue to grow using your breath. Every inhale, expand. Every exhale, you soften. Hands come together down to heart. Thumbs rest on sternum. Now let's see, can we lift the knee? Check in. This might be a little more difficult. Stretch the leg out. Lift the leg. Straighten the grounded leg. Lift taller. A little taller. A little taller. And bend it. Bring the foot forward. Step it down onto earth. Step your feet hip wide apart. Still at the end of your mat. And we rise our arms up, lifting them up. Maybe a little back bend as you point your tailbone forward. And then coming through center, hands come down onto earth. We fold forwards. Lift your toes up, spread them wide. Let your torso hang. Keep your sit bones rising, make your heels light. Be deep in this forward fold, conscious. On your next inhale, lift your gaze and find your hands at the front of your mat, finding your plank. You inhale in your plank and you exhale either through chaturanga or the knees come down. And we gently open our heart. And as we're here in your up dog or cobra, gently sway from side to side. Roll one hip at a time, forwards and back. Maybe circling your head, rolling your shoulders. And then lift yourself up onto hands and knees, sliding into child's pose. Soften here. And when you're ready, round yourself up to sit. Truly broadening the spine as you roll up. Sitting tall, bringing your legs out one way. Stretching them forwards. We'll come to the front of our mat. So we have a lot of mat behind us to roll down onto. We ground our feet, mat wide apart, knees nice and wide. Bringing our hands forwards, a big expansive movement. And then start tilting from the pelvis, rolling over the tailbone. And we really making space into spine. So as you roll yourself down, if you need to hold on, hold on. If you roll, as you roll yourself down, make space between the vertebrae. And as your head comes down, keep that space. Keep your spine on your mat. As you reach your arms up and over, gently reaching. Inhale here, and as you exhale, you drop elbows, palms, shoulder blades into mat. You're welcome to stay here. If you like, lift your chin, lift your arms. Peel yourself up, reverse the movement, one vertebra at a time. Especially the center spine can be quite challenging, the lower back. Peel it off, one vertebra at a time. Coming up to sit. Notice what your body might need this moment. And then roll yourself back down. If it's okay for you, come straight into Shavasana, right here. With that width and broadness in your back. If you need to put on another layer before you do so. Or if there's something else your body might need this moment, you're welcome to explore that first. In your own time, find your Shavasana. If you're here already, close your eyes, soften your eyelids. Give your body permission to soften into earth with your breath. Every exhalation, this beautiful opportunity to relax into earth, to relax into gravity, to relax into this moment. And soften here. Being curious. Take this as the most difficult asana of all of them. Be truly curious. As conscious as you were during class, contracting and moving, use the same awareness, the same depth of focus in relaxing and softening. So as your body becomes still, meander your awareness through body, feeling the shoulders, the neck, and using your exhalations to soften all tension you come across. Moving down the arms, down the ribs, into pelvis, through the legs, into feet. Continue to soften and let go. Remembering that life is a mindset. Stretching is a mindset. Stretching is not hard work. It's a conscious choice to let go of holding on, letting go of our armors, our protective layers, and opening ourselves up to the present moment. On a physical level, all tension you come across, imagine it was ice melting to water and maybe dissolving to gas as you bring it the light and warmth of loving attention. Or maybe you picture your muscles as rocks, the tense ones. And as you warm them up, they become like lava melting. Let yourself soften. Let this moment be a moment of letting go of all that separates us. Be willing to let the boundaries between body and space, the boundaries between I and you, merge, soften. Let them become blurry and be okay with that. Explore what that feels like. Explore what it might bring up within you. Continue to witness. Witness the softening of your eyelids, the softening of your forehead, space between your eyebrows. Witness the softening of your jaws, your neck, your throat, your collarbones. With no effort, we stack our hands onto heart. Witness the softening of heart space underneath your hands. Witness your heart beat. Witness your body breathe. Fill this moment with awe and wonder, gratitude for being alive here and now. I invite you to gently deepen your breath. Take a few deep inhalations and deep exhalations. No forcing, no straining. Witness your body move with that breath and see if you can expand that movement beyond chest, torso, into legs, hips. And in your own time, roll over onto right hand side. Resting your head onto earth or onto hand. Draw your knees up to you. When you feel ready, come up to seated, effortlessly. No strain. Sit up tall. Ground your sit bones. Cross your legs. Closing the circle, coming back to where we started. And yet not. Because it's not a circular journey. It's an ongoing journey. Notice what's changed. Notice what's different. Breathe yourself tall on your next inhalation. Soften your periphery on your exhalation. We bring our hands together, rest our thumbs onto forehead. Let the light, let the space between your eyebrows light up. Let it soften. We inhale together to gently lift and rise. And as we exhale, dropping chin to chest and thumbs to heart, bowing the knowledge of our mind to the deep and grounded wisdom of our hearts, thanking ourselves and thanking one another. Namaste. Thank you, beautiful people, for joining this morning. So much appreciated to share this time and space with you. I wish you a beautiful day. Remember that this was sort of your warm-up for your yoga practice to come. Your yoga practice, which is your day, the rest of the week, the rest of your life. Thank you.